Hello, students. I am Dr. M. Professor in Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bangalore. And today we shall learn another topic of environmental science related to environmental laws. Under that, Environment Protection Act. As we all very well know that environment is the word which generally refers to the surroundings of an organism. We tend to see both living and non-living systems surrounding us. Constantly, we need to interact with these elements that surrounds us. So, the sum total of all living and non-living elements that helps the human life to sustain is what is exactly referred to as environment. This term environment was coined by Thomas Carlyle in 1828. The word environment is derived from French terms en and viron. En refers to in and viron refers to circle. So, whatever an organism is surrounded by is generally referred as environment. And today we are learning about environmental legislations or environmental laws. Then what is the meaning of the term law here? Generally, law refers to a set of rules or a system of rules to regulate the activities when problematic conditions we tend to encounter. So, when there is a problem, the problem need to be resolved by regulating certain of the activities through the system of rules, and this system of rules is what we exactly refer to as the laws. So, environmental legislations or environmental laws hence refers to a set or a body of legal rules and regulations which are designed to protect the environment. So, the problem is for the environment and its factors. So, we need to have a set of rules to mitigate or control the activities related to the problem creation for the environmental factors. So, the environmental laws thus helps in conserving the natural resources and helps in the sustainable development. Students, remember, generally environmental laws are used to mitigate or to control the impact of activities through the industrial operations, agricultural operations or activities, then waste disposal, urban development. These activities will create a kind of problem to the environment. To mitigate it, to control it, that requires the laws. Coming on to the history of environmental laws, in India, it goes back to a period of Emperor Ashoka during the 3rd century BC. He is the one to concentrate on the afforestation, mean to say, he gave an idea of making a law bringing about the growing of the plants and trees in his kingdom. It is for the control of the water bodies as well as the air quality. Similarly, the United Nations Conference on Human Environment at Stockholm in 1972 on June 5th, there was a summit, there was a conference, and this conference was to discuss on the problems related to the environment for the first time. So, this discussion about the environment, the wildlife, the factors of abiotic that are present in the environment, such as the light, such as the air, such as the water. So such kind of problems were discussed in this conference. And that was the first time in 1972 the conference was for the environmental cause. And hence June 5th of every year is celebrated as World Environment Day. Students, remember the evolution of this environmental law. When we look at it, can be divided into three distinct periods. Period 1 is called traditional period, which covers the year range from 1900s to 1972. The modern period, the second type, here it includes from 1970 onwards to 1992. From 1992 to 2012 is called as the postmodern period. So the overall the environmental law at international level got its evolution at these three periods of time. So traditional period, modern period, and postmodern period. These laws overall aims to mitigate the problems created to the environmental factors. And every country has got the agencies to control, nodal offices to control this environmental issues. And we have environmental governance in India by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which is a nodal body to demonstrate the structure, planning, promotion, then implement of policies and programs to maintain the ecological balance because of the problems that the human beings have created over it. When we look at the law generally refers to the constitutional part. So here we have Article 48A in Indian Constitution of the country shows or concentrates on protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of the forests and wildlife. Otherwise, it is every citizen's responsibility to protect and improve the environment, also to safeguard the forests and the wildlife. Students, remember, forests are the uncultivated land occupied by the trees. Wildlife includes the undomesticated animals. Are they under our control? Definitely no. If that is the case, we have to protect them, we have to improve them, and this aspect is controlled under Article 48A. Similarly, we have Article 51A of G shows the law to protect and improve the natural environment such as the forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for the living creatures. So we need to protect the water bodies, we need to protect the wildlife, and should have a compassion for these animals. Well, the environmental laws in India is designed so that one can safeguard the country's environment, the natural resources, and maintain the ecological balance. It started in 1970s, exactly from 1972 onwards. There was a strong step taken in order to reduce the environmental pollution and the damages that we have created over the environmental factors. So the environmental acts, policies and rules in India includes few of the laws such as Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, Environment Protection Act of 1986, National Forest Policy of 1988, Ozone Layer Depletion, Ozone Depleting Substances Rules of 2000, Biological Diversity Act of 2002, Forest Right Act of 2006, Coastal Regulation Zone Notification, Wetlands and their Conservation and Management Rules of 2010 and 2017. The Environment Protection Act includes the schedules of 7. Each of the schedule is related to an important factor. What are the schedules? They are the steps, they are the programs, they are the legislations or laws one has to follow. So they are the steps of laws one has to follow related to Indian Environment Protection Act. The first schedule standardizes the emission and discharge of environmental pollutants from industries and other causative factors. So, Schedule 1 talks about or describes about control over the emission of environmental pollutants. Schedule 2 also concentrates on the standards for the discharge of effluents. Effluents refers to the waste that comes out from an industry or from the agricultural field or from the domestic areas. So those discharge of effluents are controlled, and its controlling steps are given in Schedule 2. Schedule 3 talks about the ambient air quality standards for noise is generally seen. Then Schedule 4 sets the standards for smoke and vapor emissions from motor vehicles. Schedule 5 talks about furnishing of information to the authorities and agencies. Schedule 6 includes general standards to discharge environmental pollutants and effluents. Schedule 7 concentrates on list of national ambient air quality standards. So, all the schedules concentrates about the mitigation aspects related to the environment. Well, there are authorities for the control of this environmental pollutants. Authorities comes both from the central as well as state governments. So there is a state board, there is a central board, which will have a group of members as executives who will take care of the framing of rules and laws in order to control the environmental damages. If any individuals are involved in creation of the problems related to the environment, or the one who breaks the laws through their activities, they are generally penalized. So, penalties are strictly imposed on the individuals who are involved in evading of the laws or directly involved in creating the environmental problems. So this penalty of the individuals will be up to 1 lakh of rupees and maximum jail of 5 years. This body, the authorized advisory body, also involved in regulating the legislations or the laws to save the environment. They participate in environmental sustainable developmental programs. and they are involved in securing the right to life, which is guaranteed in Article 21 of Indian Constitution. Well, students, after we understanding the schedules and the boards and the penalties related to EPA, now we shall understand the provisions of Environment Protection Act. The provisions mainly gives the center authority to take all such measures that are necessary to control or mitigate the environmental issues. According to this law, mean to say Environment Protection Act or law, it can demand environmental quality standards, especially pertaining to the emissions or discharge of contaminants and pollutants to the environment. They also can carry out natural programs at national levels and involve in usage of the programs in an advanced manner to control the environmental protection. To control the environmental problems by giving the environmental protection. The placement of industries may be restricted by these laws. The legislation grants the government authority to enter into the location where we tend to find the problem creation is to the environment. After inspection, they can get into the equipment testing and the reasons they can find in. They can also analyze the samples such as the soil, water, air and other materials to check for whether that unit is responsible for or that place is responsible for the environmental pollution. The purpose of this Environment Protection Act is overall to protect and improvise the quality of the environment. It includes pollution control. As we know, undesired environmental damages that we tend to create to the environment through our daily activities is generally referring to the pollution. So undesired environmental condition through pollution can be prevented through the Environment Protection Act. It also involves in regulating the environmental factors through the enforcement of the laws. There is a special provision for handling hazardous substances that prohibits the natural environment. In simple, the hazardous conditions that are induced into the environment can be controlled through this Environment Protection Act. Otherwise, human activities do not have any control over their activities and they tend to discharge the effluents into the environment and they keep polluting the environmental factors. It could be a larger water body, it could be air, it could be soil, any factors for that matter. EPA, that is Environment Protection Act, prohibits discharge of this environmental pollutants in excess into the environment and thereby they regulate or guard or safeguard the environment. The Act can also gives the strength, gives the way, paves the way to the government authorities to approach to the court if anybody violates the laws. So with this we are completing the concept of Environment Protection Act.